G'day and welcome back to Rusty Inspirations. Today we are going to fix the issue that I've had with this Briggs and Stratton flooding itself and hydro locking once and for all. Now I recently did a video called how to fix a hydro locked engine. Now the reason that video came about is because I'd had constant issues with this particular motor flooding itself, therefore filling the top end with fuel and hydro locking it. Once that happens, then you've got to drain the oil because there's fuel in the oil and complete pain. Now, if you haven't already, go back and have a look at that video so this makes a little bit more sense. After making that video, I went away for work and Janelle went to mow the lawns and it done it again. Now, luckily, Janelle watched that video and got it up and running while I was away at work, so she could use the lawnmower. Since then, I swapped the motors over to the groomer, so the lawnmower was reliable. So I think that was like the third or fourth time at this point, and it was getting a bit beyond a joke. I had to start looking to see what was going on. I had two of these motors, only one of them was doing it, and it turned out to be a pretty simple issue, and this motor does not have a strainer in it. Now, I've looked inside the tank thinking that maybe it's fallen off and it's floating around there. It doesn't appear to be, which leads me to believe that it was never there in the first place. So today, we're going to fix this once and for all. So the aim of the game is to drain the fuel in this tank and remove it so we can replace the pickup. I have no idea what I'm doing, so follow along while I wing it. I do that quite a bit, to be honest. Make it up as we go. We're going to drain the fuel through the carby, bowl on the carby I should say. Leave the fuel off for the time being. Now I'm going to turn the fuel tap on. Just remove that, see if this will speed up the process a little bit. I think this is the easiest way to drain it without making a huge mess. We'll come back once that's done. Turns out there wasn't as much fuel in there as I thought, which is actually quite a good thing. We might just leave that off for the time being. All right, let's see if I can work out how to pull this apart. Obviously this black cover is gonna have to come off. Now I'm not sure if it comes apart here. We might have to take the filter off and release these carburetor bolts so we can slide that all off. We see there's a couple of fasteners down here to hold the tank. Must be some more around here somewhere. I think we'll start by pulling the filter off, loosening this off and seeing where we're at with that. Gloves aren't annoying enough, they're even more annoying when you're trying to film. Press buttons on a camera. It's a little 8mm. Poke that back in there so we don't lose it. Remove the air filter. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty dirty. Oh, I've seen worse. There's a little screw underneath that sticker, so we might just pull the whole piece off and see how we get on there. Might loosen these handlebars off and lean them back just to gain access into here. There we go. A couple of 10mm. We got an 8mm on the top there as well. A little 8mm up there. Crack this bugger off. One fuel tank bolt. Right, now we've got these two bolts, which are also holding on my hour meter, 28.4 hours. Might be exposing my mowing problem there, I'm not sure. It's a little bit over 12 months old. Now I am assuming this is ready to come off, minus the hose obviously. Yep. You see that up on the side, hopefully the fuel won't come rushing out of there when we remove it. Just sort of tipping it away from the pickup so the last bit of fuel will sit down the bottom of the tank and not come out the pickup, in theory. Alternatively, I probably could have put a fuel filter in this hose and that would have fixed the problem, but it's just so compact. There's nearly no room in there, and in reality, it wasn't going to work very well, so sort of wasn't really an option. We'll remove this hose from up the top instead. Tell you what, it's compact. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing, but in all honesty, I can't even see what I'm doing. So I'm just trying to get this little clamp off. I'm going to try and get these pliers around the hose and just work it backwards and forwards. Try and get it off of that barb fitting. It's a pretty big barb on there too, looking at the other one. Might take a little bit. Here we go. Here we go. You ripper. Alright, so I'm going to drain the last little bit of this fuel out. Alright, so I've got a 12mm deep socket. No filter. Alright, so I've had a good look and shaken it up. Make sure that that filter hasn't just fallen off inside the tank. Now I ended up buying this myself. I'm sure that it would have got fixed under warranty. The only problem is I had to get this to a dealer, which is the closest one's nearly 100 k's away. So that's just a massive inconvenience. Just paid the $20 and got the part. Be interesting to know if you can get that strainer on its own. I couldn't seem to find it, but I'm sure it'd be a whole lot cheaper than buying the whole barb and strainer together. All that to change that. All right, let's poke it all back together. Before we chuck it on, you can see where it fastens through these holes. And this hole here, just 3 bolts holding it on. Right, this will be the hardest part, getting this hose back in place. Sorry again if you can't see. As I said before, neither can I. Going by feel. It'll work that clamp back up there. Poke that through them holes. Look at that. Too easy. All right, I'm thinking we'll get this back bolt in first. We already know the front ones are located and will give us the ability to move this around to line it up. Right, remove this plug lead to get us a clean shot at it. It's not too bad. Right, the old hour meter back in place. Can't really get a straight run at that. The old universal joint, see if that helps. There we go. them screws up on that filter to the carby. Push that back in there. Got two 10 mils on this side here. We've got that little 8 mil that went in the top here. Another thing we want to do is get that positive crankcase ventilation hose back into the rocker cover. Sort of just sits there. Now I'm thinking, before I put the needle and seat and the bowl back on, I'll turn this fuel off. Is that off? I can't remember which way is off. On, off. Put a bit of fuel in here and we'll just run a bit of fuel through it in case there's a little bit of crap in the hose. Now cap back on there. Turn the fuel on. Run a bit of fuel through it. Have a quick look at the needle and seat. Make sure there's no crud on there. It's pretty clean to me. We can back up in his home. That little pivot pin back in. Bowl back on. $10 mil with a quick nip up. Right, well I'm letting that fuel run through. Push these handlebars back up and nip them back out. All right, might just open that shed door for a bit of ventilation. Just going to confirm that that clutch is disengaged. Grooming reel's not touching the bench, just in case it does happen to drive. Might drop them back. The choke. So all in all, that was fairly well straightforward. I reckon the hardest part was probably taking the fuel line off and getting that back on. Other than that, yeah, no dramas. Just a little bit fiddly, not overly time consuming. I'm 100% certain that that has fixed the problem that I've had. Not a moment too soon either, because I was getting absolutely jack of it. Simple as that, $20 part. In saying that, I haven't heard of anyone else having that issue with this particular engine, so any luck? No one else does. But if you do, you know what the problem is. Little strainer on the bottom of the fuel pickup. That's all there's time for today. So if you did like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers, legends.